My name is Margot. I am studying biology at Penn State Harrisburg, and I have cerebral palsy, which is a type of traumatic brain injury. Dylan is Asperger's, dyslexic, blind, uses a wheelchair, has non-epileptic seizure disorder, epilepsy, and experiences male to female gender dysphoria, making her a male to female transsexual. Dylan has a BA in history from SUNY Empire and has an MBA in business from SNHU, and Dylan is currently a rabbinical student. We are doing this video as a life update on Dylan. We have bad news, which is that Dylan had a bad seizure and fell, causing a head injury that affects her speech. So now you will hear Dylan speak with AAC. AAC means augmentative and alternative communication, which means a person uses a computer or other device instead of their physical voice as an accommodation. AAC use is common in non-speaking autism, stroke, cerebral palsy, and mental health issues like selective mutism, and ALS and ALD, and is just as legitimate as talking with your mouth and vocal cords. Use or lack of use of AAC does not indicate intelligence. Talk to a person using AAC the way you would talk to someone who is using their mouth.
When I was at the synagogue at morning services, I had a bad seizure where I fell out of my chair. I hit my head and kept losing consciousness and felt like I was in and out of consciousness. When I hit my head, I was able to get back into my wheelchair. I realized I hit my head on the ground 2 or 3 times.
This is Dylan falling in style.
The Saturday morning service was hard to follow because I had brain fog. I felt like I was going to pass out, and I think I did. After the service during the kiddies, I thought I was better, but I had an active seizure on my way home. When I got home, my head was really hurting and I had brain fog for hours, so I called an ambulance and went to the hospital. I had 5 seizures in the ambulance, and the EMT's time to be 30 seconds each. The EMTs were surprised to hear me speak during the seizures, but I have always been able to speak during my seizures. Footage of
Wow. Whoa.
Double vit. Has begun.
It's okay, honey. I'm just timing it for you.
Marco, I feel like I'm being forced into a ball.
Because you are. You're not supposed to be in that position.
until now. When I got to the hospital emergency room, they wrote epilepsy as the reason for treatment. As I had more seizures in the hospital, I started having something strange happen. My speech had a glitch on top of existing dysarthria, which I will explain in future videos.
Now, I sound like it is.
Dylan happened to call me when she first got to the hospital, and her voice sounded tired, but otherwise normal for her. Then a seizure started, so she hung up. Then called me back a few minutes later, and I realized something strange was happening. Something really weird, even for Dylan. Her speech was slurring, and she was stuttering on her words.
I went to the nurse and I felt a strange feeling come over my whole body. Not pain, just odd. I went to tell the nurse and my words came out all slurred. She realized right away what was happening and she dialed 911.
Just like the character in my film A Stroke of Endurance, Dylan seemed to have a brain glitch that was affecting her speech.
Welcome to the club, Dylan. Stitch had a glitch too.
The nurse in the ER told Dylan that her CAT scan said her brain looked normal and her speech may clear up on its own. Despite the CAT scan being normal, I knew from past experience with other people with concussions that sometimes the initial brain scan can look normal, but a second brain scan taken weeks later shows brain damage. So we do not know the full extent of Dylan's head injury. It's also possible that Dylan's history with ataxia, dystonia, and selective mutism is a factor, which we will discuss in future videos. When Dylan was discharged home, I got on a Zoom call with Dylan and she was still slurring. Her mouth muscles seemed to pull her mouth downwards. Dylan's speech was hard for others to understand, but because I have been around people with cerebral palsy and stroke before, who have significant speech problems, I can understand Dylan. Dylan can still say perceptible words. Some people can't. Cerebral palsy is a stroke or traumatic brain injury that happens to a baby in the womb shortly before birth. So, cerebral palsy shares physical features and some comorbidities with other brain injuries. I have some speech issues myself, controlling voice volume and tone that makes singing very difficult for me. So, speech issues are not made equal. They can have different severity and causes. Concussions can also lead to migraine disorders, but Dylan already has a migraine disorder linked to bipolar disorder and her genetics. Dylan saw a neurology specialist who believes the change to Dylan's speech may be part of the underlying genetic condition. Interestingly, every time Dylan's nervous system has a new glitch, it is always after a large seizure, whether it is her legs, eyes, or arms, and now her voice.
I've experienced many punctures road from loss of use of my legs to my eyesight loss, the dystonia in my arms that we will elaborate on in future videos. I am still committed to the cause of the rights stemming from the Constitution and the Torah that we can stand for liberty and justice for all regardless of who they are or their immutable characteristics. As Thomas Jefferson paraphrased from "We are all endowed with unique talents" by Randall, that was paraphrased by Thomas Jefferson, "We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights." This means I know that my life still has value even though I talk this way, from the moment of conception. Every moment I live this way I become more grateful for being an American because the First Amendment means AAC. This means based upon my personhood through AAC is the least I can do for those who fight to defend Israel's religious freedom, so when you criticize Israel, think of my religious freedom with AAC first. As I grow in my patriotism, I cannot take for granted that in many places I would be shot or raped for talking this way and for being trans and bisexual. It's as if after this injury I relearned the greatness of the ADA and Judy Newman of blessed memory, and I take solace in the fact that they were injured climbing the steps of a Capitol crawl so I can use my injured voice without fear. Just because I am speech impaired doesn't mean I'm not empowered. In the book of Exodus, God empowered Moses to speak with a speech impediment. This is when God gave Moses a reasonable accommodation of Aaron speaking to Pharaoh, so if Moses can't be a leader of the Jewish people, why can't I? My AAC device will be like Aaron speaking for me. I don't know where the progression of this disease will take me, but as God said, I will take you to the lands and I will show you. This is how I know, because God lead Abraham. God will lead me to understand my impairments because it was God's plan all along. I also know in turn I was born in God's image and born to be a light of the nations no matter how I communicate because I know God loves me.
My name is still and I approve this message.